Hi guys, how's it going? Black Polymath here to bring you my first theory video, and I wanted to start with one of my all-time favorite gaming series, God of War. At this point, I think it's safe to say we've all seen the teaser from the PS5 showcase. I cannot tell you how many times I've watched it already. I know many of you are excited as well, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. First, let me start with the teaser. Fimbulwinter has certainly begun, as we saw at the end of the last game. The teaser starts off with some snow, and Kratos says the time draws near. I'm assuming he's talking about Ragnarok, but honestly, the dialogue could have been ripped from any point in the game. Since we haven't seen any footage yet, we don't know where this line comes from, so we can only assume. Nearly every trailer for the game and even movies use dialogue out of context to give a false impression of things to come, but I strongly think Kratos is referencing Ragnarok here. Next, we see the Norse version of the famous God of War symbol, but this time it's in blue and the runes on it are different. The runes are Elder Futhark, a language popular in Scandinavia from the 2nd to 8th centuries. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing that. I always try my best to get it right, but I'm only human and sometimes I make mistakes. So after a little digging, I found that the runes translate to Ragnarok verbatim. After this, we hear Kratos say, "You must prepare yourself." This is definitely an example of a double entendre, as he's more than likely speaking to Atreus and to us as well. Genius marketing from the people over at Sony Santa Monica. While we're speaking of geniuses, I want to take a moment to highlight the mad genius himself, Mr. Cory Barlog. I follow him on Twitter and only recently noticed his Easter egg in one of his threads. You go to Cory's Twitter page, you'll see he has pinned a thread of miscellaneous tweets from the April of 2019. If you read the first letter of each tweet, it literally spells Ragnarok is coming. Pretty clever, and I'm surprised no one caught it until after the teaser for the new game was released. So Cory literally told us last year that this was coming and no one caught it. I am super excited for the next entry, and I've been speculating like crazy to prepare. So let me go ahead and jump into a couple of theories for the main characters that I have. First up is the Queen of the Valkyries herself, Freya. When we last saw Freya, she was understandably pissed at Kratos for killing her son Baldur. She vowed to unleash unspeakable evils on him, but to do that she'll need her wings back, which contain her fighting spirit. Many people have noted that there are wings that are hanging in her house near the back door. As you can see, it certainly looks like these could be the Valkyrie wings. However, when you take a look at Norse lore, Freya is known for having 4 things in her possession, yet only 3 of them are in the game. The necklace Brisingamen, the boar Hildisfini, and a cloak of falcon feathers. I believe the wings we see here are actually the cloak mentioned in the lore, which would explain this being here. I really don't think the developers would have left this there as an oversight, since they seem to have planned out everything so meticulously. Also, if Freya already had her wings, there would be no need for her to ask Mimir if he knew where Odin hid them. I definitely believe that Freya will be an enemy through at least the first half of the game and will potentially be a boss fight. I also think she'll get her wings back early and try to break Odin's hold on realm travel and go to Vanaheim, possibly to seek help from her father Njord and her brother Freyr. Freya is the person who taught Odin magic, so she must be quite powerful. I'm interested to see her in battle. I think Kratos and Atreus will have to fight her and stop short of killing her, but she will tell them the secret of Asgard's defenses that Thamor's son, the stone mason, told her before he was killed. This will somehow lead to them going to Asgard to fight the rest of the Aesir. Next up on my list is Mimir. Mimir has been one of the most interesting characters in the last game. His knowledge and stories were some of the best parts in my opinion. When we first meet Mimir, he claims to be the smartest man alive and knows pretty much everything. Without him, the majority of the game wouldn't have even happened, since he's the one who led Kratos and Atreus towards Jotunheim. However, there are a few moments in the game that make me think he knows a lot more than he's telling us. For example, when we take him to go see the World Serpent, he speaks the old language and has a conversation with Jormungandr that we are unable to understand. He simply says that Jormungandr thinks that Atreus is somehow familiar to him, and also makes mention of Thor's unpleasant history with the World Serpent, even though those events have yet to pass. Cory Barlog has already said in an interview that Mimir did not tell us everything that Jormungandr said. I think that maybe Mimir has knowledge of the future somehow. What if he fell out of Odin's good graces on purpose because he knew he had to be imprisoned on top of the mountain in Midgard and needed to be there to help Kratos and Atreus when they came to spread Frey's ashes? I think it's also interesting that he told Freya what he knew of her wings while Kratos and Atreus were in Jotunheim. I mean, why would he help her after she promised to rain down all types of horrors on Kratos, unless he knows she needs her wings in order for things to happen as he has somehow foreseen? I believe that Mimir is actively trying to cause Ragnarok, and that is his role in the story. It's also possible that Mimir himself is a giant. In the game, he says he comes from a faraway land, but never makes mention of exactly where that is. He also stays behind at the end of the game when we travel to Jotunheim. Kinda makes you wonder. Next up, I have Atreus, who we later find out is Loki in this incarnation of Norse lore. We see him go from a weak child to a more mature demigod over the course of the story. He finds out he's a god, and then later has to come to accept that he's also a giant. Here are some of my thoughts on what he might do in the next game. I believe Atreus is the one who blew the horn when Kratos goes to Freya's house to heal Atreus from his sickness. Why future Atreus would do this is still a mystery to me, but I think there's definitely a bit of time traveling going on in this universe, and we will see more of it in the next game. I also think we'll see the birth of Jormungandr as prophesized in the Jotunheim mural at the end of the game. Atreus is seen holding the body of a man we believe to be Kratos, but I honestly think it could be Tyr. We already know that Atreus admires Tyr a lot, and we will at some point meet Tyr in the next game, or at least find out what happens to him. I think Atreus will form a bond with Tyr, and he'll be killed, which leads to the birth of Jormungandr, but more on that later. I also think we will see more of Atreus' powers emerge. In the last game, we saw Atreus summon Jormungandr as his eyes glowed mysteriously. That is definitely a sign of things to come. I'm excited to see what they do with him and where his storyline goes in the next game. I know many people believe that Atreus will be a playable character, or at least will inherit the franchise after Kratos dies, but I don't see that happening. Kratos is way too popular a character to be killed off, and the title God of War wouldn't make sense with Atreus as the main character. I honestly think that Atreus will be killed at some point before the story concludes. In Ragnarok, Loki is fated to kill and die at the hands of the Aesir god Heimdall. I know that Heimdall hasn't appeared in the story as of yet, but he's supposed to blow the horn that's supposed to assemble the Aesir gods for the start of Ragnarok. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. So I saved the best for last. I have a strong feeling that Kratos will die at some point in the next game, but not permanently. We've all seen him die plenty of times in the past, and he always finds a way back. I think he may possibly be killed by Thor early in the next game and be sent to Helheim, where he encounters the goddess Hel, who is also Loki's offspring. We didn't see her in the last game, but that does not mean she isn't there. There are those who believe the giant bird we saw in Helheim was actually Hel in disguise watching over her realm. The most prominent story in Norse lore that features the goddess Hel is the death of Balder, which is why I think she will appear in the next game. I also believe Kratos will ultimately kill Thor. Remember when we threw the Leviathan axe into the Lake of Nine and Jormungandr spit it back out with its venom imbued into the axe? I believe that will ultimately lead to Thor's downfall. I mean, what if we somehow get Mjolnir as a weapon? That would be awesome. I was happy with the axe and the blades last time around, but I wouldn't be surprised if they added something else to our arsenal to combat the Aesir. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. The last part of the Jotunheim mural. It depicts Atreus holding a man that seems to be missing an arm and a leg, and possibly his right eye. I don't think this is Kratos because the man appears to be wearing different clothing than we saw Kratos depicted in earlier in the mural during his fight with Balder, and his beard isn't even the same length, and the red markings on his body are nowhere to be found. I strongly think this person is Tyr. As we know from the lore, Tyr loses a hand to Fenrir, so he is a one-handed Aesir god. Now all of the murals we've seen in the last game show Tyr depicted with both hands. I believe this is because he has not lost a hand yet. That will happen in the next game at some point. We know that Fenrir must already exist, since Mimir mentions him by one of the other names that he's known for when he tells Atreus that Fenrir is the father of Skull and Hati, the two wolves that are destined to eat the sun and moon once Ragnarok begins. Lastly, I think Kratos may lose an eye in the next game. There's an image on the title screen that depicts wooden dolls of Atreus and Kratos that seem to show an eye patch over Kratos' eye. I'll let you be the judge. Well, that's all I've got on this one. I want to thank all the viewers for indulging my predictions and theories. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content. It is greatly appreciated. Until next time, peace out.